Hi, Paul Slack. It's good news. Speaking to Lieutenant Colonel Kyle Scherer. Hi, Lieutenant Colonel. How are you today?
Good. Thank you very much for having me.
We're going to discuss, and thank you for the work that you and the outreach that the Army Reserve does. We all appreciate it. We're going to discuss the importance of and there's a memorial and the impact Native Americans have had in the Army Reserve. It's very exciting, actually, because it's been important and well overdue. National Native American Heritage Month, celebrating contributions of Native American soldiers. So, Lieutenant Colonel, could you update us on this important information, please?
Sure. So, like you said, it is Native American Heritage Month, and every November since about 1990, the Army, along with the rest of the federal government and private sector employers, we've taken time to reflect on the contributions of American Indians and Alaska Natives. And we do events like this where we highlight the fact that Native peoples have served in every war since the founding, and that they continue to serve at among the highest per capita rates of any demographic group in the United States.
Really? Okay. That's interesting. And then in the Smithsonian, they're going to be putting up a National Native American Veterans Memorial. Is that right?
That's right. So Congress in 2013 authorized the National Native American Veterans Memorial. And so it's been about a decade coming, long overdue, and it was formally dedicated this Veterans Day on November 11th. And you're right, it's located on the grounds of the Smithsonian's National Museum of the American Indian, which is on the National Mall very near the Capitol. The theme for the weekend was first here, first to serve, always remembered. And for the listening audience, the memorial incorporates a number of traditional motifs. So you have a large stainless steel circle that sits atop a granite drum. It was designed by a Native veteran, Harvey Pratt, Vietnam vet, and member of the Cheyenne Arapaho tribes. I was able to attend the dedication as a volunteer and was joined by about 1,500 other Native vets. So it was a pretty memorable weekend.
I think overall that Indigenous people didn't we the government create in essence, a holiday called Indigenous Day just this year? Is that, am I right on that?
Sure. So I believe the Biden administration sort of dual named Columbus Day to also be recognized as Indigenous Peoples Day.
So that's good news. That's a major community worldwide, and I guess it brings recognition to the reality of our history of human beings living on Mother Earth. I like to put it like that, and tribute to them. Tell us a little bit about your background, Lieutenant Colonel, if you wouldn't mind.
Sure. So I grew up in Northeast Ohio. I'm a member of the Muncie, Delaware tribe, which is actually the very first tribe to sign a treaty with the United States in 1778. I currently live in the D.C. area. I was fortunate to attend Harvard for college and law school. I've been a military intelligence officer since commissioning back in 2005. I think, like many folks in the Army of my vintage, have a couple of deployments to Afghanistan, Iraq, some time at the Pentagon, some time in Germany, and now I'm at a unit at Fort Belvoir. I'm a reservist, as you're aware, and so on the civilian side, I'm a federal Indian lawyer, and I co-chair my firm's Native American law and policy practice. Wow.
So let me ask you a question, just because we have a Muncie, New York, up in Rockland County. Is Muncie, in so many, I went to Quinnipiac, it was college, now it's Quinnipiac University, and actually New Haven was Quinnipiac lands, the whole New Haven. So is Muncie, that word, is that an Indian name?
It is, yeah. So my tribe is originally from the the Delaware River Valley, so that's why it's Muncie, Delaware, and there were a couple of different sort of dialects. Muncie was one, Unami was another, and so that Delaware River Valley is sort of New Jersey, but also into Long Island. Manhattan is a Muncie, Delaware word, and so just sort of the history of removal and colonization sort of started in the New York, New Jersey area, sort of pushed westward to Pennsylvania, Ohio, up into Canada, and into Oklahoma as there was sort of a push west, and that's why you'll have Lenape or Muncie, Delaware words in New Jersey, in New York, and Pennsylvania. There's a Muncie, Indiana as well. So that sort of connection to space still exists even today, right?
Mm-hmm. I have a place out in Montauk, Indians, and right next to my Montauk Manor location, there's a Fort Hill cemetery, like parkland. And there's a great quartz rock where the 13 councils of the Indian community would meet to discuss life. I don't know if you've ever been out that way, but it's a big old quartz rock. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I think that's getting closer to Shinnecock territory, as I recall. But
Shinnecock's in a little bit before you get there. Montauk's the end.
That's right.
But that's all Indian country, right? I mean, America was an Indian country. Yes, no? I think so.
Yeah, that's right.
It's important. Do you think schools do a decent job, or do we need to do better with understanding of history here in America?
Sure. Well, I think it's better today than it's been at just about any other point in American history in terms of learning about Indigenous peoples. I think it really varies by state. I think in certain states like Alaska or Oklahoma or New Mexico or Arizona, they're very cognizant of Native peoples and sort of those connections to land. I think in other states, like where I grew up, we grew up in a place where my tribe had been located, right? Coshocton, Shunbrun, Janaden-Hutton, and the history is not really there. So I think a lot of it is dependent on sort of state curriculum. But like I said, I think it's certainly better today than it has been at any other point. In history. So.
I was part of the Comanche troop, not tribe, but troop, and as a Boy Scout. We all had names, Indian names, and that was dear to us in little old Tarrytown up here in Westchester County. So I was lucky to learn early on about who's living there. Tell us about the Army Reserve in essence with the Native Americans. Is there any things we should know in regard to that, or anybody you want to talk about?
Sure. I mean, I just say that, like I said earlier, Native peoples have been involved in every conflict, right? I'm a member of the Muncie, Delaware tribe. We signed the first treaty with the U.S., us along with the Oneida, which is another New York tribe you might be familiar with. We were sort of early allies of colonial revolutionaries, tribes. Fought on both sides of the Civil War. Alaska natives from just about every village volunteered for the Territorial Guard. You probably heard of the Navajo Code Talkers, or maybe your listeners have. That's one of just about a dozen different tribes that provided really vital communications in World War I and World War II. And so I think the history tracks the larger American story. And, even as the federal government didn't treat tribes with the respect they deserved, you always saw Native peoples volunteering in very high numbers to protect, their land, peoples, and their country.
Well, I'm a believer. I have a little adobe right next to me as we speak, and adobe, for those that don't know, it's a hut, and it's very important to know where we all come from. It's extremely important, and the Army Reserve here coming out and talking about it is wonderful. And then, Colonel, is there anywhere that we can learn maybe more about the Native American participation at the U.S. Army Reserve?
Sure. So I think if you want to learn more about the Army Reserve or diversity in the Army Reserve or the legacy of Native American service members, you can visit the Army Reserve's website, which is www.usar.army.mil.
Okay, fantastic. Well, thank you. I applaud you, and I appreciate you and the work that you all do and continue to do to keep America running in a nice way here. Thank you so much, Lieutenant Colonel.
Thank you.